Let us know when we're on, Jonathan.
He goes.
You are on, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I think Representative Blackburn's mic is open.
Oh,
The House will please come to order. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the 66th Wyoming House of Representatives. Welcome to our 8th day. Welcome to the citizens of Wyoming and wherever they and other folks who may be tuning in. We welcome you to our proceedings. Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Convening roll call for the 8th day, Thursday, February 4th, 2021. Andrew.
Here.
Baker.
here.
Banks.
Here.
Fair.
Here.
Blackburn.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Burkhart.
Here.
Burt.
Present.
Clausen.
Here.
Clifford.
Here.
Connolly.
Here.
Crago.
Present.
Duncan.
Here.
Eklund. Air.
Here.
Flitner.
Here.
Fortner.
Here.
Gray.
Here.
Greer.
Here.
Hallinan.
Here.
Haroldson.
Present.
Harshman.
Here.
Heiner.
Here.
Henderson.
Here.
Hunt.
Here.
Jennings.
Here.
Kenner.
Here.
Knapp.
Here.
Larson Lloyd.
Here.
Larson Dan.
Here.
McGuire.
Present.
Martinez.
Here.
Nyman.
Here.
Newsom. Here. Nicholas.
Here. Here.
Thank you. Oakley. Obermuller.
Here.
O'Hearn.
Here.
Olson.
Here.
Ottman.
Here.
Paxton.
Here.
Provenza.
Here.
Roscoe.
Here.
Schwartz.
Here.
Sherwood.
Here.
Simpson.
Here.
Summers.
Here.
Stiff.
Here.
Stivard.
Present.
Sweeney.
Here.
Walters.
Here.
Washit.
Here.
Western.
Here.
Wharf. Williams.
Present.
Wilson. Winter.
Here.
Yin.
Here.
Zwanitzer.
Here.
Mr. Speaker.
Here.
Eklund.
Here.
Oakley.
Excused.
Excused. Worf.
Here.
Wilson.
She's giving you a thumbs up, Chief Clerk.
We have 59 present, 1 excused.
Thank you, Chief Clerk. If you would, members, if you'd join me for our daily prayer with our colleague, Representative Jennings. Representative Jennings, would you cue your mic, please?
Sovereign God, we thank you for creating all things. And we come to you humbly this morning that we would have a repentant heart for those things that we've not done that would bring righteousness to you, and that we would be a nation to turn our face back to you, And Father, I pray that you would give us wisdom today in these decisions that affect the people of Wyoming, that you would give us your Holy Spirit to give us guidance, comfort, courage. And Father, you would let your peace rest upon these people that are making these decisions today. In Jesus' holy name, amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. You would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, members. So we've got somebody in the room that is streaming us live, and we're getting a lot of feedback. So turn down your volume, please. Sorry. Thank you very much. All right, Chief. So my shout out today is to our colleagues in the executive branch and judiciary, those appointed judges, Supreme Court, district court, circuit court, and all the clerks and all those folks that do the work on our judicial branch, and certainly our executive branch colleagues, the 5 electeds, the governor, treasurer, auditor, secretary of state, superintendent, and all the folks that work. And then just a shout out to those folks in our cities and towns and counties and special districts, elected officials that do the work there too. So we appreciate all of what you're doing on behalf of the state of Wyoming, and we hope we can do things in service of the work that you do. So with that, thank you very much. Chief Clerk, Journal Committee report.
Your Journal Committee reports that the Journal of February 3rd, 2021 has been read and recommend that it be approved. Signed, Representatives Haroldson and Provenza.
Thank you very much. Chief Clerk, any messages from the Senate?
No, sir.
Thank you very much. So members, at this time, we're going to have that concurrence request that we spoke about, kind of gave you a little bit of a primer on last night. So with that, Chief Clerk, I just go straight to the chairman. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Chairman Greer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for concurrence on House Bill number 8, Consumer Credit Amendments. Hey, members, I'm going to ask for your favorable consideration, and I'll go a little slow with this and walk through this. So first of all, if you'll recall, the House had some discussion dealing with the language on, it was really on page 2 that was associated with these insurance products, these protective products that help when your what you purchased devalues and it fills in the gap for the credit. And that discussion revolved around the standing committee amendment that had pulled out what was deemed to be superfluous language. And then one of our members said, hey, we'd like to have that in there to deal with voluntary termination. So we went back and forth, and I think we ended up with a 3rd reading amendment that was passed by this body that kind of solved those concerns we had discussed. Once that had happened, there was a little bit more concern came about from both the commission and industry. And so they went through and did a cleanup amendment over in the other house. And it's a very good cleanup amendment. And so if you've got your message number 126, which was emailed last night to you. And again, I'm kind of to go slow because these concurrence reports or requests are very important. You know, so if you've got that in front of you, and then if you look at the engrossed bill, what you'll see, the first component of the amendment in the Senate was on page 2, line 9, and it's really language cleanup. We're talking about no later than 60 days of termination. I think this is better language. It says within 60 days after termination, just cleaner, clearer language. Appreciate that. And then we moved down to page 2, line 15, which was the discussions that we had in the House. In this cleanup, What this really does is it puts back in this clear statement regarding voluntary products. And it says, the duty to facilitate a refund or credit under this subsection shall also apply to voluntary cancellations of insurance or other products by a consumer. Okay, I think that solves what we were debating back and forth. Then we get to page 2, line 21, which was where we had went to that particular section and inserted the voluntary language. And what they've come in is, it has just cleaned that, basically took out that voluntary discontinuance or cancellation. In a lot of respects, took this right back to where we were before the standing committee amendment, which is what the other amendments that came were trying to do. Okay. Here's the benefit of the discussion that we did have in the House. And it's really when you get to page 21, because as a result of that discussion and as a result of those amendments, and this is called productively working the bill through Group Genius, what we discovered was on page 21 that we really had missed this in working this bill all the way through. So as a result, what we do have is this recognition of the voluntary termination, and the language is then conforming with what we see back on page 2. So it's one of those situations where the process took a very complicated bill that is required between the regulator and the industry that's affected to get it to clean up to work well for consumer protection. I think the Minerals Committee did a great job working it through the interim, but then we come in and we get more eyes looking at it and just a little bit more discussion. In the end, between our two houses, we come up with a darn good product. And there is the system working the way it's supposed to. So with that, I'm going to encourage an aye vote, and I'll be more than happy to try to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Chairman Greer. So members, concurrences and discussion on concurrences work the same way as second or third debate. So the presenter makes the initial pitch, and then we take questions first time or comments first time, second time, and then back to the sponsor. So with that, are there any questions or discussions for the good chairman? Question or discussions on the concurrence? Questions or discussion on the concurrence? I have Representative Flitner.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. And I just want to thank the good chairman for the very thorough explanation and for taking the time to walk us through the changes, and much appreciated.
Representative Kinner, first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I do have the email, and I did find the concurrence in that email. But did we also say that that could also be found under amendments on the bill itself? And I'm looking there, and I don't see anything labeled concurrence. I just see the different amendments. If somebody could help us in case later on, I think we're going to need to find some there. So thank you.
Thank you. Chief Clerk, would you, is there a place on the internet that people can find concurrences?
No, sir. Just joint conference committee reports.
Thank you.
Okay.
So just to clarify, a concurrence is the Senate made some changes and they're asking us to agree to them. So you'd have to look at the engrossed bill, work in their amendments, and then you would have the differences between the House and the Senate version. So whatever passes the Senate, or the opposite House, whatever passed the opposite House as amendments that are different from the original position or the first House position would be the request, would be the difference, and the concurrence is requested on the differences. So we don't, I apologize. I think yesterday we did say that we're not concurrences, only joint committee reports on the internet. So my apologies if there was misunderstanding. Further discussion on the concurrence,
Question.
Seeing none. So Chief Clerk, this is a roll call, right? Let me get to my
Yes, sir.
right script. Saying no further, we are over the first bill consideration. We are voting the motion to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 8. The majority of the elected members required. Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Andrew.
Aye.
Baker.
Aye.
Banks.
Aye.
Bear.
Aye.
Blackburn.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Burkhart.
Aye.
Burt. Burt.
Aye.
Clausen.
Aye.
Clifford.
Aye.
Connolly.
Aye.
Crago.
Aye.
Duncan.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
Air.
Aye.
Flitner.
Aye.
Fortner.
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Greer.
Aye.
Hallinan.
Aye.
Haroldson.
Aye.
Harshman.
Aye.
Heiner.
Aye.
Henderson.
Aye.
Hunt.
Aye.
Jennings.
Aye.
Kenner.
Aye.
Knapp.
Aye.
Larson Lloyd.
Aye.
Larson Dan. Larson Dan. McGuire.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Martinez. Repeat, please.
Aye.
Nyman.
Aye.
Newsom.
Aye.
Nicholas.
Aye.
Oakley excused. Obermuller.
Aye.
O'Hearn.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Ottman.
Aye.
Paxton.
Aye.
Provenza.
Aye.
Roscoe.
Aye.
Schwartz.
Aye.
Sherwood.
Aye.
Simpson.
Aye.
Summers.
Aye.
Stiff.
Aye.
Stivar.
Aye.
Sweeney.
Aye.
Walters.
Aye.
Washit. Washit. Western.
Aye.
Worf.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Winter.
Aye.
Yin.
Aye.
Swanitzer.
Aye.
Mr. Speaker.
Aye.
Larson Dan.
Aye. Aye.
Closing vote. Are there any changes?
This is Representative Oakley. I'm sorry, I couldn't log on this morning. I was late, but I'm here now.
Your vote?
Aye.
Oakley, excused to aye. Further changes? Further changes? Closing vote? The vote is closed. 60 aye.
Members, by your vote, you have voted to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 8. That's all we have there, Chief Clerk. So we're on second reading. Just want to make sure I'm,
Yes, sir.
thank you very much. Just a mention to the body that may be in the room and the public that's listening. Generally, the Chief Clerk sits right here in the tables in front, and there's a reading clerk and an assistant chief clerk and all the different folks keeping the records. And so they're not. I don't have to ask them over the airwaves what's next, because they're writing me notes or saying thumbs down or thumbs up or whatever. So there's a lot of nonverbal communication going on in a regular session, and this is a little different because we're in a different location. So this is not how we'll usually do it when we're in person. So we're at that order of business on bills on second reading. The first bill for our consideration is Senate File 18.
Senate File 18, sponsored by Corporations, Elections, and Political Subdivision, Universal Occupational Licensure, an act relating to professions and occupations.
Senate File 18 having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a 3rd time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Next bill for our consideration is Senate File 26.
Senate File 26, sponsored by Agriculture, Animal Abuse Statutes Reorganization and Update, an act relating to animal abuse crimes, and there is an amendment.
Thank you. We do have an amendment, ladies and gentlemen, and as our representative gets ready to present that, I just want to remind folks, as we announced yesterday, all of the bills on 2nd reading will be accelerated by a motion at the completion of 2nd reading to 3rd reading, and that'll be the last thing we take up today. So you'll still have time to prepare amendments to any of these bills for 3rd reading later in the day. So with that, we have an amendment. Representative Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move 2nd reading amendment number 1 to Senate File 26 and ask for favorable consideration. So what this does is it's an issue that I have a constituent that is sort of risen the issue of puppies and puppy mills, and I've become pretty passionate on us trying to solve this issue. So what it does is it defines a puppy mill, and then it sets it as a misdemeanor to own, operate, allow, or permit a puppy mill to operate on any premises under their charge or control. So it's a problem we've had a couple times in the center of our state. And I just think a lot of other states have this puppy mill language in their statutes, and I think it's good for us to protect puppies, and I ask for favorable consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. 2nd reading. So we'll start with Majority Floor Leader Summers and then Representative Hunt.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. And so my question to the good bringer, because I haven't tracked it in, I assume this wouldn't supersede the language on customary livestock practices. I have seen certain, breeders, livestock breeders that frankly raise dogs kind of like cattle or kind of like sheep. And they may not be the same care that you would see on, they're probably not in a kennel, I'll grant you that one. But they are raised more like livestock than they are raised as others. So I guess my question back to you is that does this language will not supersede the customary livestock handling practices, or that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Representative Hunt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As my question would be in some of the part of the definition. I mean, I'm reading through the amendment, and well, it says continuous confinement, lack of human contact, lack of environmental enrichment. Those feel to me to be fairly tangible and easy to prove, basically, or easier to prove, I should say. I guess my concern is with the rest of the language starting on line 4, where it says an emphasis is placed on quantity over quality, indiscriminate breeding, there, and then down on, let's see, I guess also on line 7, the poor husbandry. And so I think that those are some of those things that we know it when we see it. Most of us would agree, but I'm not sure how easy that would be to define legally or to prove legally. And so if the bringers of the amendment could expound a little bit on that, that would be great. I don't disagree. I think that nobody wants to see puppy mills, and again, I think we all understand pretty much what we're aiming at here. But I'm just concerned about the potential ambiguity of some of the language in that definition. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. So I have Representative Zwanich, Chairman Zwanich, Chairman Greer, and then Representative Stith, Chairman Eklund. So Chairman Zwanich, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pleased to talk on this amendment. And when researching what other states do, and about 30 states have some form of this law as a misdemeanor or a felony, in certain, I think 5 or 6 states on their books. There is no widely accepted definition. And so this definition I think is really good because it takes kind of the 2 leading, shall we say, definitions of what a puppy mill is, or an inhumane animal breeding operation, whatever they're called in each individual state. But I like that there's a lot of points to this. And so there's a lot to prove if you're going to go after someone for operating, one of these type operations. Because really the problem I think we faced historically in Wyoming is there's no rules or crimes for this type of thing. And so there's really no way to prosecute it. What I see with this amendment and why I signed on to it and like it, is the bar is pretty high, I would say, to be able to charge and prosecute one of these cases. And so, kind of like the definition of pornography, you can't define it, but you know it when you see it. There's a whole lot of data points in this that you would have to prove. And I think when you have that many data points, it would be beyond reasonable doubt to say, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck and smells and feels, it's a duck. And so I think it's as good a definition as any state has in their statutes. I like that it's still at the misdemeanor level. We're not going crazy here and trying to up felonies, but it does fall in line with just general animal welfare. I don't believe we have provisions on our statutes now to protect livestock operations or things associated with livestock operations. And so I'm confident if you say, hey, our border collies have 3 or 4 border collies every year, and we have an operation that we're doing as part of a livestock practice, that's fairly easy to prove, and this would not come into play. This really has to do with maximizing profits, and assuming you're using your own dogs that you're raising for your operation, you're not selling them on the open market as purebreds for thousands of dollars. I think you're pretty well exempt, and no county attorney in the state would charge that. So in support of the amendment, would ask for your favorable consideration.
Thank you very much, Chairman Greer, then Representative Stith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did last night have the opportunity to go ahead and line in the standing committee amendments so that it's a little easier to follow the statute now. And I guess my question is for the bringer of the amendment when he gets an opportunity to respond is, so when we look at on page 3, and it's the what sets when someone commits cruelty to animals, and we look at Romanet 4, and we talk about it's a more broad category dealing with has charge and custody of any animal and under circumstances which manifest extreme indifference to the animal safety, health, or life. To me, that's where I think when this legislation was drafted, that they were trying to deal with this issue with puppy mills. I agree, this type of behaviors shouldn't be tolerated in our society. My concern then is when we start to look at the language regarding the aggregation of penalties, is that can you, and then we come into issues regarding double jeopardy, are we in essence going to penalize somebody twice for really the same offense, which has has similar elements? And so I would just like to have that addressed. While tackling this head on and pointing it straight out, that does make that a little bit clearer. There are other issues that we need to look at, and that issue, again, to restate that a little more clearly, is if you have crimes that have similar elements or similar components to it, one is we don't want to do that, and then 2, what happens? Do we aggregate it? Are you guilty of running a puppy mill and then guilty under Romanet 4 in the initial section? And I just would like to avoid that if at all possible. So just something to think about, and an answer on that would be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. So I have Representative Stith, Eklund, and then Bear. Representative Stith.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Just a question for the bringers of the amendment. Could you give an example of what's going to be a puppy mill and what's not a puppy mill? I think it's important when we're creating crimes that the public have reasonable notice in advance of what's going to be a crime and what's not going to be a crime. So I noticed, for example, in the definition of puppy mill, that one of the elements of being a puppy mill is that you maintain a low overhead to maximize profits, which is an odd thing to make kind of an element of what's going to be a crime, because if I'm accused of this, then I guess my defense is that, no, I've got really high overhead, which is kind of odd. And normally we want businesses to have low overhead. So, and I think, so my question is, I appreciate the sentiment of it. And if we can get comfortable with the idea that people will know in advance what's a crime and what's not, then maybe this is a good idea. But it does represent a significant policy choice here. So I guess I'm concerned about it being so vague that people would not know what's legal and what's not legal in advance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Chairman Eklund, Representative Bear, then Chairman Nicholas.
Mr. Speaker, I'd kind of echo a little bit of that. These are statutes that we're revising. I guess I'd remind the body that those statutes have been worked on for a long time, and we've had trouble cleaning them up. And the reason is it's very sensitive. If we don't do it right, we do harm to some of our industry. This amendment is a shift in policy change. I believe what we need to do is addressed on page 3, Romanet 4, was brought up by the Minerals Chairman. Why is it any different than that? And then complicating the thing with another. You've got that in the bill, and then you add puppy mill into it, and there may not be any difference. I think we get back to statutes that's confusing and clunky, and I don't know if the courts will know which to prosecute or what to prosecute. But if this thing gets very convoluted, we've worked on it, had people work on it hard, we won't be able to pass it again.
Thank you, Chairman. Representative Bear, did you want to testify?
Thank you, Speaker. My concerns were covered by the representative from District 48.
All right, thank you. And my apologies. I see hands come up and go down. I don't know if they've, maybe I'll just follow the hands from now on. So Chairman Nicholas, my apologies, Representative Bear. That did not count against your, if you want to go a first time, how's that? Representative Nicholas, Chairman
Thank you,
Nicholas.
Mr. Speaker. So on and against the amendment, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just walking down through what the elements are. And I don't think any of them really constitute a crime standing alone. And so if that's the case, then how does this, if you ran a puppy mill, and let's just walk through it. If you have a dog breeding operation, and if you disregard the health of the dogs, what does that mean? Does that mean that you don't feed them, or you don't feed them the right dog food, or you feed them table scraps? I don't know what that means. And I don't know how you would prove it. So then let's go to the next one. You have an emphasis on quantity over quality. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that would be good business to have quantity over quality. And so I don't understand how that could be part of a crime. Then you have indiscriminate breeding. Well, if you want to breed indiscriminately, in other words, you're mixing different breeds, that shouldn't be a crime. How can that be a crime? And if you've got a bunch of mutts running around and you got more mutts, how is that a crime? And it just doesn't make sense to me. Then the next one is continuous confinement. Well, anyone who's breeding puppies, I hope they have continuous confinement, because you don't want those puppies all over the house. I mean, they have to be confined. And if you're dog training, and if you're working with, like huskies, or they're continually confined for training purposes. If you're doing dog sleds, things like that. Lack of human contact and lack of human contact. How do you demonstrate or prove that? Does that mean that they just haven't been fed, or they haven't been touched, or they haven't been held, or they pick them up and take them for a walk? I'm not sure how you pull a crime out of that. And this goes lack of environmental richness. Well, that'll be a tough one to prove. I don't know how in the world you'd have that. Poor husbandry. Well, once again, that's a subjective element. Some people raise puppies in a way that probably is not good husbandry, but I don't see how that's a crime unless their health is at risk, and they're at risk of dying, essentially, or starving to death. Minimal to no veterinary care. Well, I don't, all the puppies I've raised had minimal to no veterinary care, so I don't think I committed a crime as a result of that. And I always hope that I have low overhead with my dogs. So I'm looking at this, I'm going, well, nobody likes a puppy mill, but I would just respectfully submit that the way this draft, it simply doesn't catch the bird or cage the bird it's trying to save. So on and against the amendment.
Thank you. Any other member for their first time? Representative Clausen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On and against the amendment. So I don't question the intent of the bringers of this amendment, but this is a problem with this portion of law. If you don't have all of the stakeholders in the room to figure out what you're actually doing, you can trap real easily people that are simply going on with their day-to-day lives. And there's a whole bunch of problems with this amendment inside of that. But I would ask the body to resist this amendment and move on with the bill, as it wasn't really a bill that took on major policy decisions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Any other member for their first time? Member for their first time? A quiet group this morning. Member for their first time. Every member for their second time. Second time. Chairman Zwanitzer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I do enjoy how we play these games. So let me answer all of your questions in order. First, the chairman of Minerals asked about possible double jeopardy or charging for the same crime. Right now, the law allows for that per animal. And I guess if I'm a good prosecutor, I would throw every available remedy and charge at one of these operators if you're going to prosecute them, similar to any other criminal statute when you're prosecuting domestic violence or murder or burglary, right? You try to any tool in the toolbox, you will throw a charge at and see what you either can plead down or what the jury will agree to. But right now the statute does allow for a charge per animal. So if you're an animal hoarder and you have multiple dogs or horses near death, you can be charged per animal. Then the good representative from Sweetwater County it was interesting because I had one legislator talking about everything but the economic and one legislator attacking the economics. So first, let's talk about how you prove the elements of a crime here. For the good representative for Sweetwater County, right? This is a proof. It's economic, right? If you can say that you are raising in a dog breeding operation, low overhead's fine, but you are getting an economic gain and you are getting a large economic gain per puppy, and you can literally prove what you're selling them for and what it costs of care. That's why I think there's an economic element in the crime. For all of the others, the good chairman of appropriations, remember this is a dog breeding operation. All of those subsets modify dog breeding operation. And so I guess I could go through each one again, but the indiscriminate breeding is not talking about mixing animals together. These are operations where you have usually two purebreds or close to purebreds. The indiscriminate breeding would imply that as soon as you get one litter of puppies, you would turn around and try to get another litter of puppies as soon as possible, which is not good for the health of the dog. This is the reason why every state kind of has different statutes and there's no industry accepted standard. And so what I think the good bringer of the amendment did in this case is put multiple elements, bringing the best parts of statute from all states who have laws in this regard. You put them together, and for a good county attorney or district attorney to charge a crime, it's got to be a pretty strong case to hit this bar, as I said earlier. Then I guess I'd take a little bit of exception with the vice chairman of ag saying this is people's day-to-day lives and this could affect their day-to-day lives. If you're doing this in your day-to-day life, you probably need to be charged with a crime. So I think all the elements are there. I don't think putting this in statute, it's going to be charged recklessly. I think it's pretty tight and the bar is pretty high, but as a state, we are a reflection of the laws we have. So if we all agree we don't want this type of operation in Wyoming, then we need to, at least make it a misdemeanor and try to do the best we can to put the elements of a crime together that a good attorney could prosecute. So I hope I answered most of those questions, the serious ones, and would continue to seek your support for the amendment.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to say something. I think maybe some things are said in jest on the floor, but I hope we would all be respectful that if there are concerns, they are hopefully all brought with serious intent and that. So I just ask folks to be respectful of each other. There certainly can be difference of opinions, and but let's continue to honor each other and honor our process. Thank you. I have Chairman Eklund.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I guess I still would move back to page 3, Romanet 4. And I'm confused a little by the amendment because it says Romanet 4.2, but it says has a charge in custody of any animal and under circumstances which manifest extreme indifference to the animal's safety, health, or life, I think covers it. And if we get into very much detail, again, this is trying to clean up statute that exists. We're not adding things to it. I don't know as I've ever seen any statute that we've passed that gets into such detail of what the crime is. It leaves the court some latitude to think on their own, but I believe that this bill already covers this. I believe additions to it would muddy the thing up, and that's what we were trying to clear up. And I think the chairman, a good chairman of corporations, would agree with that part, because what we've done with existing laws just add to it and make it clunkier and clunkier as we go along. And this almost appears to do that. On and against the amendment.
Thank you. Any other members? We're on second time. Chairman Greer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And so, you know, I mean, I don't look at any of this as a game. I look at this as being serious. We pass laws to try to right wrongs within our society, to deal with things that are inappropriate, okay, that fit our societal norms. But on the flip side of that too, we also need to protect the rights of our citizens. So that's what we do. We try to strive to find that particular balance. Okay. So we look at, as was brought by the chairman of Ag on Romanet 4, covers this type of behavior. My points were on this, and I understood the aggregation. I mean, the way this is right now, you come in and if there are 30 puppies, 30 animals, right? There's 6 months. You could be 6 months in jail for each one of those counts. That's the way the law is right now. This rewrite of this just makes that very clear for us to follow. Here's a concern when we put this in with the puppy mills is that I know we've already got it covered in the language, because when we debated this before we discussed this, that Romanet 4 would cover this. Okay, and we were comfortable that we're righting a wrong in our society. So now we put in this other one, and this say that a prosecutor doesn't want to double charge on those, and he decides to charge under the puppy mill definition. And then you go to court and you find out, as the good points made by the chairman of appropriations, that this is not, that there isn't a constitutional way that you can pick this statute apart, and it really isn't a crime. Now that person walks free. So we need to have clean, concise, and clear laws. So I try to avoid, unless I'm in a grumpy mood, words like muddy the water and things like that. But in fact, this would do that. This would introduce a certain amount of ambiguity and increase the possibility for a true crime not to be punished correctly. I would say, I mean, this is an issue that we are all aware of. It is an issue and something we don't want in our society, but we've already got it covered. We don't need this. And in essence, having this amendment could cause more difficulty as it works through a legal system or through our legal system than it does now. So I would encourage you to know.
Thank you very much. Any other member for their second time? Second time before the sponsor. Second time before the sponsor. Representative Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So responding to some of those points, I mean, and I don't want to speak for him, but I think the frustration for the chairman of corporations is sometimes the contradictions. I see it in some of, and there's different speakers, but we hear that this is muddying the waters, it's already covered, but how is it muddying the waters to make it clear as a misdemeanor? I mean, it's not like we're adding a felony here. It's a misdemeanor. And if you look at page 6 in the bill.
Representative Gray, I need you to put your microphone back to your closer to you, please. Thank you. I'll mute mine and please put yours closer. Thank you.
All right, thanks. So this idea that there's a contradiction between that this is muddying the waters, it contradicts with the idea that this is already covered. We've already made the decision as a legislature to lay out these other misdemeanors. If you look at page 6 in the bill, you see in A, a person shall not destroy an animal by the use of a high altitude decompression chamber, a carbon monoxide gas chamber. So we've decided that we're going to specifically say that that is a misdemeanor. It's probably covered by page 4, but it's a misdemeanor. B, a person is guilty of a misdemeanor if he knowingly is present in any place where an exhibition of fighting of fowls or dogs is occurring for amusement or gain. That's a misdemeanor. C, a person is guilty of a misdemeanor if he keeps a household pet confined in conditions which constitute a public health hazard. That's very broad. I mean, we got 8 things in here they've got to cross, and it's an and. They have to, and we combine the definitions and the case law from other states. They've got to meet all 8 of those things. And C might cover it as well, but this is just for prosecutors and for the sake of transparency to the public, that we lay out the definition of a puppy mill the best we can. And it's a combination of 2 different definitions that aggregates together into 8 things that they need to cross for it to be a misdemeanor. And we're not adding a felony, it's a misdemeanor. And we've already made the decision in these animal statutes that we're going to have this section of other misdemeanors on page 6 that might be covered by page 4, but who knows the way a prosecutor is going to handle that. And it goes back to that aggregation topic that the chairman of minerals covered. Let's see here. Oh yeah, the one other thing I wanted to say, listing out some of the arguments, the majority floor leaders argument, I did ask LSO, and in their opinion, that it does not supersede the exemption. So I think we're okay there. I wanted to get that out there because it is in the other misdemeanor section. That's where we put it, which is already there. So I mean, it's just being clear. It's a misdemeanor. We've already made this decision to lay out these other misdemeanors, and I would argue they're a lot less clear than this would be. So let's protect the puppies and vote aye on this amendment. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, we're voting on second reading amendment number 1 to Senate File 26. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. All those opposed? Thank you. The amendment has not been adopted.
Division.
Division being called. Chief Clerk, would you please call the roll on second reading of number 1 to Senate File 26?
Andrew.
Aye.
Baker.
No.
Banks.
No.
Bear.
No.
Blackburn.
No.
Brown.
Aye.
Burkhart.
No.
Burt.
No.
Clausen.
No.
Clifford.
Aye.
Connolly.
Aye.
Crago.
No.
Duncan.
Aye.
Repeat,
Sorry.
please.
Sorry, no.
Eklund.
No.
Air.
No.
Flitner.
No.
Fortner.
No.
Gray.
Aye.
Greer.
No.
Hallinan,
No.
Haroldson,
Aye.
Harshman. Heiner,
No.
Henderson,
No.
Hunt,
No.
Jennings,
No.
Kenner,
No.
Knapp,
Aye.
Larson Lloyd,
No.
Larson Dan, Larson Dan,
No.
McGuire,
Aye.
Martinez,
No.
Nyman,
No.
Newsom,
No.
Nicholas,
No.
Oakley,
No.
Obermuller,
No.
O'Hearn,
No.
Olson,
No.
Ottman,
Aye.
Paxton,
No.
Provenza,
No.
Roscoe,
No.
Schwartz,
No.
Sherwood,
Aye.
Simpson,
Aye.
Summers,
No.
Stiff,
No.
Stivar,
No.
Sweeney,
Aye.
Walters,
No.
Washit,
No.
Western,
No.
Wharf,
No.
Williams,
No.
Wilson. Repeat, please. Winter,
Yes. Aye.
Yin,
Aye.
Zwanitzer.
Aye.
Mr. Speaker,
Aye.
closing vote. Are there any changes? Winter, aye to no. Further changes? Closing vote. The vote is closed. 16 aye, 44 no.
You're muted, sir.
Thank you. My apologies. I was on mute. I thought I could hear my own echo. I'll repeat all of that. Senate File 26, having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection is so ordered. Next bill for our consideration is Senate File 53.
Senate File 53, sponsored by Labor, Health, and Social Services. Private Ground Ambulance Service Provider Assessment Act, an act relating to public welfare.
Senate File 53, having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection is so ordered. Next bill for our consideration is House Bill 58.
House Bill 58, sponsored by Travel, Recreation, Wildlife, and Cultural Resources, State Parks Account Expenditure Authority, an act relating to state lands.
House Bill 58, having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection is so ordered. Mr. Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. Speaker, first I'm going to kind of explain to the body and then I'll make the motion. So this is the point in time where we'll make the decision whether we accelerate these bills. So we would accelerate them to third reading. We will have to suspend the rules to do that. I believe that's a 2/3 majority vote to do that. The idea is to be able to get these bills out and then get conference committees, any that we might have, going and be done mostly with our work today and then a little bit tomorrow. So with that, Mr. Speaker, pursuant to House Rule 7-7, I move to suspend the rules requiring readings on 3 separate days so that the following bills may be immediately considered on third reading and final passage. And those bills are Senate File 18, Senate File 26, Senate File 53, and House Bill 58.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Just to be clear, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll affirm this with the Chief Clerk, we're not going to hear them immediately right now. We're going to hear them on the same day. They will be at the conclusion of all of our consent and regular third reading. So these will be the last bills that we hear today on third reading. Chief Clerk, is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
All right. And this is a 2/3 vote. Members, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Speaker, did you ask the body if they wanted to remove any bill from the list? I might have missed that. I'm sorry.
My apologies. Members, are there anyone that would like to remove a bill from the list? My apologies. Chief Clerk was getting ready to call the roll, and I should have done that. Any member like to remove a bill from the body or a bill from the list? Seeing no hands. Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Andrew.
Aye.
Baker.
Aye.
Banks.
Aye.
Bear.
Aye.
Blackburn.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Burkhart.
Aye.
Burt.
Aye.
Clausen.
Aye.
Clifford.
Aye.
Connolly.
Aye.
Crago.
Aye.
Duncan.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
Air.
Aye.
Flitner.
Aye.
Fortner.
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Greer.
Aye.
Hallinan.
Aye.
Haroldson.
Aye.
Harshman.
Aye.
Heiner.
Aye.
Henderson. Repeat, please.
Aye.
Hunt.
Aye.
Jennings.
No.
Kenner.
Aye.
Knapp.
Aye.
Larson Lloyd.
Aye.
Larson Dan.
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Nyman.
Aye.
Newsom.
Aye.
Nicholas.
Aye.
Oakley.
Aye.
Obermuller.
Aye.
O'Hearn.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Ottman.
Aye.
Paxton.
Aye.
Provenza.
Aye.
Roscoe.
Aye.
Schwartz.
Aye.
Sherwood.
Aye.
Simpson.
Aye.
Summers.
Aye.
Stiff.
Aye.
Stivart.
No.
Sweeney.
Aye.
Walters. Walters. Washit.
Aye.
Western.
Aye.
Wharf.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Winter.
Aye.
Yin.
Aye.
Swanitzer.
Aye.
Mr. Speaker.
Aye.
Walters.
Aye.
Closing vote. Are there any changes? Closing vote. The vote is closed. 58 aye, 2 no.
By your by your vote, you have moved to suspend the rules, and we will continue. Sorry, Chief Clerk, I'm not following the script very well. You have moved to suspend the rules, and we will proceed to third reading at the appropriate time. Thank you very much. And members, there was someone that raised their hand after the Chief Clerk had started the roll. And once the roll call begins, by rule, you cannot interrupt it. So I apologize to, I think it was Representative Williams. Chief Clerk had stopped, and then I saw your hand. So my apologies, Representative Williams, if you were wanting to remove something. But once the roll call initiates, then that continues. So we're now at that Mr. Majority Floor Leader. We're on third reading. Mr. Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move the consent list consisting of the following bills. Third reading consent list. Senate File 14, Senate File 29, Senate File 32, Senate File 37, Senate File 54, and Senate File 57.
Thank you very much. Would any member like any bill removed from the consent list? Thank you. Representative Jennings.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to remove Senate File 29 and Senate File 54.
So members, by that request to remove 29 and 54 are removed from this consent list. Any other members wish to remove a bill from the consent list? So members, just so we're clear, your consent list now consists of Senate File 14, 32, 37, and 57. Senate files, all of them. Any other member wish to remove a bill from the consent list? Seeing none, Chief Clerk, please read the bills.
It's going to take me a couple minutes. I'm setting up the computer.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker.
Privilege of the floor. Yes, Vice Chair Duncan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could you just repeat that list for me again?
Thank you very much. So the consent list, after two bills are removed, is Senate File 14, Senate File 32, Senate File 37, and Senate File 57. 57. The two bills that were removed were Senate File 29, Revised Uniform Law and Notarial Acts, and Senate File 54, Statewide Health Information Exchange.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman Harshman.
Mr. Speaker, privilege, please.
Please proceed.
Okay, thank you. I just had a question. The two that were taken off, I just want to make sure I'm not missing something. It was 29 and 54. Do those now have amendments? I mean, that's usually why we pull them off if we want to amend them. And I just want to make sure I'm not.
Mr. Chairman, a member came to me earlier in the day and thought they were trying to have, or potentially was going to have something prepared. So I said,
okay.
I suggested that they pull them off if that's what the case was.
Okay,
so I don't know if they're out there. I haven't looked on the amendment page, so I would say members.
Them yet, but I'm
okay. Well,
I'll keep refreshing. Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Chief Clerk. Chief Clerk is busy pushing things around.
I'm ready.
Give a shout out to our Chief Clerk. There's a lot of appreciation that needs to go to that hardworking Chief Clerk.
Thank you.
All right, Chief Clerk, would you read the bills on consent?
Senate File 14, sponsored by corporations, elections, and political subdivision, credit for reinsurance, an act relating to insurance, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming. Senate File 32, sponsored by appropriation, water permit notice requirements, an act relating to water, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming. Senate File 37, sponsored by Select Water, omnibus water bill planning, an act relating to water development projects, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming. Senate File 57, sponsored by Education, school finance dates for fund transfers, an act relating to school finance, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming.
Thank you, Chief Clerk. Having been read 3 separate times, the question is, shall Senate File 14, Senate File 32, Senate File 37, and Senate File 57 pass the House? Chief Clerk, please call the roll on the consent list.
Roll call on the consent list. Andrew.
Aye.
Baker.
Aye.
Banks.
Aye.
Bear.
Aye.
Blackburn.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Burkhart.
Aye.
Burt.
Aye.
Clausen.
Aye.
Clifford.
Aye.
Connolly.
Aye.
Crago.
Aye.
Duncan.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
Air. Air. Flitner.
Aye.
Fortner.
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Greer.
Aye.
Hallinan.
Aye.
Haroldson.
Aye.
Harshman,
Aye.
Heiner,
Aye.
Henderson,
Aye.
Hunt,
Aye.
Jennings. Jennings. Kenner,
Aye.
Knapp,
Aye.
Larson Lloyd,
Aye.
Larson Dan,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Martinez. Martinez,
Aye.
Nyman,
Aye.
Newsom,
Aye.
Nicholas. Nicholas. Oakley,
Aye.
Obermuller,
Aye.
O'Hearn,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Ottman,
Aye.
Paxton,
Aye.
Provenza,
Aye.
Roscoe,
Aye.
Schwartz,
Aye.
Sherwood,
Aye.
Simpson,
Aye.
Summers,
Aye.
Stiff,
Aye.
Stivar,
Aye.
Sweeney,
Aye.
Walters,
Aye.
Washit,
Aye.
Western,
Aye.
Worf,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Winter,
Aye.
Yin,
Aye.
Zawanitzer.
Aye.
Mr. Speaker,
Aye.
Air,
Aye.
Jennings,
Aye.
Nicholas.
Aye.
We have 60 aye. As for Senate File 14, are there any changes? Gray, aye to no. Further changes? Jennings, aye to no. Burt, aye to no. Stivar, aye to no. Winter, aye to no. Please lower your hand. Fortner, aye to no. Further changes? Further changes. Closing vote. Vote is closed. 54 aye, 6 no. As for Senate File 32, are there any changes? Are there any changes? Closing vote. The vote is closed. 60 aye. As for Senate File 37, are there any changes? Are there any changes? Closing vote. Vote is closed. 60 aye. As for Senate File 57, are there any changes? Fortner, aye to no. Further changes? Closing vote. The vote is closed. 59 aye, 1 no.
Having received the affirmative vote of the majority of the members elected to the House, Senate File 14, Senate File 32, Senate File 37, and Senate So members, now we're going to proceed to our third reading regular list. And as you will know, two bills were pulled off, Senate File 29 and from our consent list, Senate File 29 and Senate File 54. So I think it's probably we put them at the bottom of the list. Is that a correct, Chief Clerk?
Yes, I need to get those reordered. Just a moment.
Yep, no worries.
Okay.
So our order on regular, let's see, third reading regular list for today's bills is Senate File 60, House Bill 29, House Bill 49, Senate File 29, and then Senate File 54. And as the chief clerk said, she has to input those into the computer system and reorder so that the roll calls will come out in the appropriate places in our order of the day's business and for our digest in our journal. So we'll give her a moment and she'll let us know. We'll stand at ease for just a moment. One thing we haven't done very much of, I guess I'll bring us out of ease for a second. We haven't done much is privileges of the floor. When we're on the floor, we often have guests here, and we introduce our family members or friends that might be traveling, or the elected officials from our community. And so something to keep in mind as we're plan to be in person as we come back together for the new members. If you have guests that are going to be here, certainly that's something that we invite. We like to welcome folks to the Wyoming House of Representatives, and that's one way to do that. Representative Sweeney, you have a privilege.
Privilege of the floor, Mr. Speaker.
Please proceed.
I would ask each of you to look at your inbox. CSG had a remembrance of Senator Hank Coe, and it was another nice tribute to Senator Coe, and I thankfully had the privilege of knowing him for the past 30 years, and was a great inspiration to me. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much.
I am ready, sir.
The floor, Mr. Speaker.
I didn't see who asked, so, Representative Duncan, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We failed to acknowledge our own Representative Ayer's birthday day before yesterday. So he had a big birthday, and we celebrated our own Representative Gray yesterday, but I failed to mention Representative Ayer was the day before on Tuesday.
Well, happy birthday in 2 days. Happy birthday in 2 days, Representative Ayer.
Thank you. My well-kept secret has been revealed.
Thank you. All right, members, we're at that order of business on bills on third reading. The first bill for our consideration is Senate File 60.
Senate File 60, sponsored by Revenue, monthly ad valorem tax revisions 2, an act relating to ad valorem taxation of mineral production, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming.
Senate File 60, and we do have an amendment. Chairman Harshman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I move third reading amendment number 1 to Senate File 60 and ask for your favorable consideration. Members, really just working off of yesterday's good debate on this issue. We defeated an amendment to have the counties. I think it had been, it'd been way too convoluted and complicated in my opinion. And that's no disrespect, but the concept was to not shift what traditionally we thought has been a county mill collection function to a state. And again, this bill is really, I think, going to be well supported. It is well supported by industry and county governments. I think we're going to become more in line like other mineral producing states where we streamline some of this collection. The severance tax and the property tax ad valorem, it's going to be the same numbers, so that they're going to work off the same production numbers, the same valuation numbers in real time. So I think it'll make us more business friendly, frankly, too, and that'll be good. So how do we pay for this reprogramming of the computer? And this is something we do and we do for our agencies. I mean, last year we passed a lodging tax increase. Well, that didn't have any appropriation in that bill. And so the Senate came back in another bill to correct that and added $500,000 to the Department of Revenue to help reconfigure all the software and reprogram their data collection, their revenue collection. So it's my understanding then that there's 26,000 left over from that appropriation. Contacted the director and worked through that. So the number I was trying to hit off this, what I was initially told was 300,000 is the number needed to reprogram and get this up and running. That might be a little low. I found out this morning, right? But I think it's probably getting us close. So I was trying to get to 300,000. So I took the 26,000 that's already out there. We're gonna count that in this, and then another 274,000 to get to 300,000. So that's what I was trying to do. So then, where does that come from? Well, I'm shifting it from the loan amount out of the LSRA of 17 million for counties. So you can see that 274,000 drop from the current 17 million that is in the bill now. So that moves that number on your amendment, line 5, 16,726,000. So that's all that is. And then the second part of the amendment, Mr. Speaker, is page 5, line 4. Then that placeholder that our colleagues down the hall put in, because they didn't know what that was going to cost. They knew it was going to cost something of $1. Then that 274,000 is appropriated in place of $1. That combined with the 26,000 from last year's House Bill 159 gets us to 300,000 to help our Department of Revenue implement this program. So that's how I'm trying to do that, and I'd stand for any questions. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think you're muted.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the reminder. Representative Baker for your first time. Third reading, first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I have a question in relation to the numbers and how the amendments would track in. So on this amendment, we are still deleting the $40 million and inserting, as opposed to 17 million, we're inserting 16.726. And my question is with the numbers and how the numbers work out, because and I understand the 40 million was a placeholder, but we're deleting 40 million and yet we're still inserting an additional 26 million for education and an additional 16 million to cover the other portion of the bill and the loan. So how has it come about that the extra, I guess, $2.726 million was inserted into the bill? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Any other member for their first time? Member for their first time? Representative O'Hearn, did you have your hand up?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did.
Thank you. Please proceed.
I mentioned this late last time we talked about this. I think we need to go to line number 5 and subtract the 40 million and not just line 6 on the dollars, or it'll say 40 million and then dollars 16 or 16,026,000 $726. Does that make sense? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Representative O'Hearn. Representative Stith for your first time, and then Representative Gray.
Mr. Speaker, just a question so I know what I'm voting on. The source of the additional $274,000, page 5, line 4 in this third reading amendment, does that come from the school foundation program account or from some other account? Thank you.
Representative Gray for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Answer that question, I believe it's from LISRA, but I'll double check here, and I'd like to reserve a first for a second. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member for their first time on third reading amendment number 1? Representative Henderson for your first time.
First for a second, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
I have Representative, thank you, Representative Jennings, and then Craigo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is in that loan money that we're taking this out of, who pays this back to the loan?
Representative Jennings and Representative Craigo, and then Representative Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First for a second. Thank you.
Representative Sweeney for your first time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First for a second.
Thank you. Any other member wish to have a first for a second? Any other member wish to speak for a first time on third reading amendment number 1, Senate File 60? Senate File 60, first time. Seeing none, we are proceeding to second time. Second time before the sponsor. Second time before the sponsor, Representative Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd urge a no vote on this amendment. And, we had this discussion yesterday, so I'm not going to belabor it, but really this is a function of the counties that now the state is taking over. And if they're not going to be covering it with their general 12 mills, then I don't think, I think they should be helping us on the upstart. And, I just think this amendment is part of the problem. This happens all the time, and it's troubling to me. And instead of the legislative stabilization reserve account backfilling the education deficit, which we've seen the projections, the one that just came out, the one pager that we're looking at an $800 million deficit. Instead of it backfilling that, it's going to this, which really is a county function, and they're not helping with that upstart for the state to take it on. But I do appreciate that at least this bill will be transparent on who's going to cover the costs on this with this amendment, and the policy decision that the body has made. That in my opinion, the right decision that when a function is taken from the counties and given to the state, that they should help cover the cost of that. That we're not making that call, and instead the state taxpayer is going to cover it. So I'd urge a no vote on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Representative Gray. Any other member we're on second time before the sponsor, Representative Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, or Mr. Speaker, sorry. So I urge an aye vote on this. I really believe that the standing committee amendment to this kind of clarified the questions on the 40 million. The way I read that into that, to be clear. So on this, I think this is, yes, it does. I agree that it does provide transparency on where the money's coming from, and it totally makes sense to bring this in as far as the state funding this, and it's a good way to go. And this particular amendment really drives it home for me. And again, we have supported the industry that this is the way they've put this very complex issue on the table, and it will bring it, as the good chairman of revenue said, we heard this morning that other states do it in different ways, but most of them do it, the taxing in and collection in a manner more similar to what Senate File 60 is doing. So with that, please support the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the first time, Representative Baker.
Second time, Mr. Speaker.
Second time. Thank you very much.
I just want to make sure that my question is clear and not speaking on or against the amendment. But between the standing committee amendment and this amendment, we're deleting $40 million, which was a placeholder that the Senate put in place just recently, less than a couple days ago. And what we've done is we've inserted $42.7 million. And my question really kind of revolves around is that going to be a static number, or is this loan amount going to continue to increase, and next year we're going to have to come back and readjust these figures? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Any other member for their second time before the sponsor? Second time before the sponsor, to the sponsor, Chairman Harshman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, members, for your questions. First, the good representative from Sweetwater County. And I think there were, when you go in and work a third reading amendment, and then there's a second reading amendment, there's a standing committee amendment. And when I asked for this draft last night, I went back to our attorneys and I said, this is exactly what I want to do. Are you sure? And so we double checked and went back through. So it deletes back through the standing committee amendment. There is no addition of any money to this through this amendment. Zero addition of any money with this amendment. This is a movement of money. The LSRA still will have. It has a $17 million currently loan to counties. This amendment would reduce that, not by 2.7 million, 274,000. And it reduces that loan amount from 17 million, 274,000 down to 16,726,000. And then that 274,000 then gets appropriated to the Department of Revenue. This has no impact on the 26 million that we appropriated to the Department of Education. And so it just simply, and so the goldenrod and how this bill affects the LSRA will not change $1. And that was what I was trying to do. And then I found 26,000 from a previous bill last year that we're going to repurpose for this. So that's really, and this will be close. I mean, I think 300,000, I think, and if the governor needs to move a little money to the B11 or whatever to 20,000 to sign a contract, I think we're going to be real close. But let's keep in mind the big picture of what we're talking about. We're talking about $500 million, nearly $500 million in mineral property taxes. Yeah. And we're talking about 198 million, 100 million in property tax delinquencies in 2018. 100 million. That's why we got the coal mineral bankruptcy task force. That's why we're here. We've been kind of kicking this can down the road for 20 years. And in 2017, 90 million in delinquencies. 16, 85 million. 15, 81 million in delinquencies. And man, this is a problem. Industry wants to move to a monthly payment system. Many of our states do a similar system. It'll be business friendly. It's supported by industry. We're going to have to pay a little bit, $300,000 or so to program this system that collects $500 million a year. I think it's a wise investment. So I encourage your support for the amendment and your support for the bill on the third reading vote. And thank you all for the great debate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So members, we are voting on third reading amendment number 1 to Senate File 60. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Thank you. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion has been adopted. Senate File, Chief Clerk just affirming, no new amendments since I looked last?
No.
Thank you. Senate File 60, having been read 3 separate times, the question is, shall the bill pass? Chief Clerk will call the roll.
Andrew. Repeat, please.
Aye.
Baker.
No.
Banks.
Aye.
Bear.
Aye.
Blackburn.
Nope.
Brown.
Aye.
Burkhart.
Aye.
Burt.
Aye.
Clausen.
Aye.
Clifford.
Aye.
Connolly.
Aye.
Crago.
Aye.
Duncan.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
Air.
Aye.
Flitner.
Aye.
Fortner.
No.
Gray.
No.
Greer.
Aye.
Hallinan.
Aye.
Haroldson.
No.
Harshman,
Aye.
Heiner,
Aye.
Henderson,
Aye.
Hunt,
Aye.
Jennings,
No.
Kenner. Kenner,
Aye.
Knapp,
Aye.
Larson Lloyd,
Aye.
Larson Dan,
No.
McGuire,
Aye.
Martinez,
Aye.
Nyman,
Aye.
Newsom,
Aye.
Nicholas,
Aye.
Oakley,
Aye.
Obermuller,
Aye.
O'Hearn,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Ottman,
No.
Paxton,
Aye.
Provenza,
Aye.
Roscoe,
Aye.
Schwartz,
Aye.
Sherwood,
Aye.
Simpson,
Aye.
Summers,
Aye.
Stiff,
Aye.
Stivar,
No.
Sweeney,
Aye.
Walters,
Aye.
Washit,
Aye.
Western,
Aye.
Wharf,
No.
Williams,
No.
Wilson,
Aye.
Winter,
No.
Yin,
Aye.
Swanitzer.
Aye.
Mr. Speaker,
Aye.
closing vote. Are there any changes? Bert, aye to no. Further changes? Closing vote. The vote is closed. 47 aye, 13 no.
Senate File 60, having received the affirmative vote of the majority of the members elected to the House, Senate File 60 has passed the House. Next bill for our consideration is House Bill 29.
House Bill 29, sponsored by Corporations, Elections, and Political Subdivision, Burials for Indigent Persons, an act relating to indigent person burial expenses, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming.
And we have no third reading amendments. So Senate File 29 having been read
House bill.
Thank you, Chief Clerk. House Bill 29 having been read 3 separate times. The question is, shall the bill pass? Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Andrew.
No.
Repeat.
No.
Baker.
Aye.
Banks.
Aye.
Fair.
Aye.
Blackburn.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Burkhart.
Aye.
Burt.
No.
Clausen.
Aye.
Clifford.
Aye.
Connolly.
Aye.
Crago.
Aye.
Duncan.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
Air.
Aye.
Flitner.
Aye.
Fortner.
Aye.
Gray.
No.
Greer.
No.
Hallinan.
Aye.
Haroldson.
No.
Harshman.
Aye.
Heiner.
No.
Henderson.
Aye.
Hunt.
Aye.
Jennings.
No.
Kenner.
Aye.
Knapp.
Aye.
Larson Lloyd.
Aye.
Larson Dan.
No.
McGuire.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Nyman.
No.
Newsom.
Aye.
Nicholas.
Aye.
Oakley.
Aye.
Obermuller.
Aye.
O'Hearn.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Ottman.
No.
Ottman, repeat, please.
I'll give you a call back.
No.
We're here. Okay.
Ottman, repeat,
No.
please.
No.
Paxton.
Aye.
Provenza.
Aye.
Roscoe.
Aye.
Schwartz.
Aye.
Sherwood.
Aye.
Simpson.
Aye.
Summers.
Aye.
Stiff.
Aye.
Stivar.
No.
Sweeney.
Aye.
Walters,
Aye.
Washit,
No.
Western, Western,
Aye.
Wharf,
Aye.
Williams,
No.
Wilson. Repeat, please. Winter,
No.
Yin,
Aye.
Swanitzer.
Aye.
Mr. Speaker,
Aye.
closing vote. Are there any changes? Fortner, aye to no. Further changes? Further changes. Closing vote. The vote is closed. 45 aye, 15 no.
Senate, House Bill 29, having received the affirmative vote of the majority of the members elected to the House, House Bill 29 has passed the House. Next bill for our consideration is House Bill 49.
House Bill 49, sponsored by Appropriations. Agency fee revisions, an act relating to agency fees, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming.
Thank you. We do have an amendment. Representative Andrew.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This amendment is a
Representative
follow-up.
Andrew, just go ahead and move the amendment and then you can go into your explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I apologize. I move the third reading amendment number 2 to House Bill 49 and ask for your favorable decision.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker. It is amendment number 1.
Yeah, now amendment number 1, Representative Andrew. State that and then continue.
I apologize. Amendment number 1.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, this is an amendment that follows up on my second reading amendment. It is simply cutting in half the fee increase. So the increase of $100 to the initial license is now $150. And the increase of $50 to the renewal is now $75. Concurring with the body, I did not make any changes to the distribution of the fees. And also concurring with the body, I based these new proposed increases on an adjustment to inflation based on the Bureau of Labor Statistics inflation calculator from when these fees were implemented in the year 2000. Rounding by a few dollars to nice multiples of 25, we get the proposed fees of $150 and $75, and those will match the original fees in 2000, adjusted to inflation. I think I made a bit of a misstep yesterday. I did not mention that I hold some of these food licenses, but I believe that allows me to speak for many in this industry, as I am very in tune with it. And many of the people who hold these licenses are some of the owners of the smallest businesses in Wyoming. I urge an aye vote on the amendment, and thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Any member for their first time? Member for their first time? Sensing you're ready, I see Representative Schwartz, first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to be on and against this amendment. I understand where my colleague in the food service industry is coming from. But as I commented yesterday, and I might have exaggerated a little bit in terms of how happy I was to see food inspectors, but over the years, I established good collaborative relationships with them. And what I took away from that was that having robust systems of food inspections is beneficial not only to the provider of the food, but also to the confidence of the consumer. And in a state where the second largest industry is tourism, a huge component of that is the food service industry. And I very strongly believe that we have to make sure that when these tourists come to Wyoming, they can be confident that when they go to grocery stores and large restaurants and even the small restaurants that were referred to, that the inspections of these are done completely. And I think the small increase in the fees that have been proposed, and these increases were, I mean, this was a 2-year process within committee number 2. Having been a business owner, I don't look at these fees as out of line at all. I think they are part of the cost of doing business to ensure that your business can make a better profit going down the road. So on and against the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, we're talking about food establishments right before lunch. So expedite as we can. Lunch awaits. Representative Walters, first time, then Representative Wharf. Chairman Eklund.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would just echo what I had stated yesterday in that these fees go to help cover some of the costs of the inspections. While they still don't cover the entirety of the cost, even as increased to the amount that was suggested in the bill, they do help cover some of those costs. And if those costs are not covered by the folks that are needing the inspections, then the remainder of that cost is paid for by the general fund, of which the majority comes from our mineral sector, which has been hit just as hard as any other sector in the state of Wyoming. And so I think leaving these fees where the good committee number 2 set them is appropriate, and I would urge a no vote on this amendment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Chairman Eklund, Representative Wharf, then Representative Hallinan.
Mr. Speaker, can I have just a little bit of latitude? It's kind of speaking to the amendment, but mostly speaking to our freshman member on maybe his eligibility to or need to tell us that he's part of this industry. We'll soon figure that out. And I think part of the joy of a citizen legislature is having that input from your industry. And it's a large industry. If you're ever in doubt as to whether you should vote, I think we've probably talked about it. You probably had it in training, but I think you should know you can vote on this as well as represent them. That's what I had to say. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your indulgence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Wharf, then Hallinan, and then Larson Lloyd. Representative Wharf, first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the opportunity to talk. I do stand in favor of this amendment. And I did have a question. You know, there were some comments made yesterday that since I hadn't spoke on the first time, I wasn't really able to interject into that discussion. But I wondered if somebody could tell us how many food inspectors have had their jobs eliminated, because that was a large part of the discussion yesterday. And I don't believe there's been any actual losses of any health inspectors in the state. So I just wondered if that could be addressed, because I think that's important to this. We're talking about how, you know, this small decrease affects the number of health food inspectors. And I just don't think that's accurate, Mr. Chairman. So I'd like that question asked, please, or answered.
Thank you very much. Representative Hallinan, and then Larson Lloyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I took the opportunity yesterday to call my county commission, my county treasurer, and she said that $9,000 comes from the state to pay for his salary and the cost of his inspections. So I think that it's appropriate that the state would raise this fee to help pay that $9,000. On the other hand, I think that it is appropriate that we increase the rate at the rate of inflation. I am a big supporter of raising the fees to the rate of inflation. And for that reason, I favor this amendment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Hallinan. Representative Larson Lloyd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would encourage the body to vote against the amendment. This is a pretty modest increase to the food industry, and I think we hear from around the state frustration in inefficiencies of government when they, particularly when we have programs that are supposed to fund themselves and don't. We have in place a particular program designed for customer health protection, designed not to be a tax burden on the citizens of the state by placing the compliance of the inspection on those who have the potential of risking the safety of its citizens. So that'd be the food service industry. I think that we would also reflect a little bit back on, this hasn't been raised since 2000, and how many food establishments have changed their pricing in the last 20 years, regardless. I think we heard yesterday about the concern of the impact and the distressed business environment, but I would suggest to you that we've seen the price of food at eating establishments has gone up, probably regardless of the impact on orphans, homeless, or other distressed businesses in our communities. And the reason why is obvious, because they can't operate at a loss. And neither can the state, particularly when we're looking at a $250 million or $150 million deficit on the general fund side and a $500 million deficit on the school side. That's a lot of burritos. We need to, so I too wondered, what is the impact? And so I went back and using my abacus, figured out that if I had to increase my overall income, net income, 50 cents a day, and I was only open 5 days a week, I would generate $120 a year to cover the increase of this program. And so I am just not, I would push back on the impact that's happening. And I would encourage, as we look at these, these fees, they're not taken lightly. We do it, and would encourage a no vote and move this forward. Mr. Chairman, I also might point out that there's a question on the loss of jobs, state and or county, and I don't know that I can answer that. I don't think that we've had any food inspectors from the department that administers this lose their job, but the impact, but that's also, remember that the impact is on counties and how they can administer the job as well. And so I think that these fee increases are reasonable and would encourage you to vote down this amendment and to support the bill.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Representative Brown, this first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the 66, this is a tough one because this is one of those situations in which we hear, this is not the right time to be raising any types of fees on these businesses. But I would counter that with, when we were flush with money, we didn't need and we didn't want to burden these businesses. So we're kind of in this catch-22 in a situation here where over the past, 20, 30 years, we've been able to keep these prices low for these businesses, and we've been flush and we've allowed ourselves to be basically subsidized on the backs of, our extractive industries. And that's backed us up on everything from our education system to these food inspectors. And so when we see these increases, I can assure you that I don't like necessarily voting to raise any type of tax or anything like that. But I can also assure this entire body that the Appropriations Committee that brought this bill forward, I know that they're not fans of having to bring this type of information forward either. So I just ask that you sit down and think about this as a little bit level-headed, that we have to think about how long has it been since we've asked our businesses in this state to pay any amount of money towards what the businesses needs for government are. And at this point, it's been 30 plus years, I believe, is what I've heard on these particular fees. So it's not my favorite thing to do, but I'm certainly going to support this because I do believe that we are in a position right now where we have to look for some ways to make sure that our food and our our food services are safe and they're delivered safely. And regardless if it's you or me out there eating, the tourism, whatever it is, we need to make sure that everybody's safe. And the only way to do that is to make sure that we have self-sustaining programs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. So we're on the amendment, and I think probably everybody knows where they're voting on the amendment and on the bill. So we'll go with Representative Jennings and then Representative Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I'd like to push back a little bit. Having been in this industry myself in the past, it's not just a question of one fee. This is a state fee. Then there's county and there's city and there's cost of doing business, all kinds of things. I think you can look around and see how many restaurants have closed their doors, how many of our citizens have poured their lives into these businesses and things of this nature. This is the wrong optic. It's the wrong time. It's the wrong thing to do to our citizens that are constantly paying into government. I mean, I get that government's short on money. Maybe we ought to look at some more of our spending. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Gray, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First for a second. Thank you.
Any other member for their first time? First time. Is everybody going to speak? Does anybody not know how they're going to vote on this? On the amendment. On the amendment. Representative Burt and then Haroldson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To kind of work off of the representative out of 30, it's the additional fees and taxes that get added onto it. One thing that we have not heard of just yet that I think we're looking at, especially within the food service. When I started working at the age of 13, I started off as a bus boy in a restaurant. And I think the minimum wage at that time was around the $3 or $4 mark. We're looking at, these industries that start off at a very minimum wage for a very minimal skilled worker going out cleaning dishes or cleaning tables. The federal government is looking at trying to increase the federal level of employment, which is going to add just that much more labor costs to these businesses. So again, when we're looking at, it's just an extra $100 out of, for a year or whatever, the length of the actual inspection is, we're not looking at the bigger cost of labor that's going to be that's going to be hit, if the, government above us starts to flex its muscle, it's going to come down and put even more strain on the labor cost of these businesses as well. So I am in favor of the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Haroldson, first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I keep hearing this come out that basically if we can raise this, we're going to get better service. And as far as I know, we pretty much are locked in on personnel numbers here. We as far as I know as well, we kind of decide that. And the fee increase is going to go to the general fund. I'm not saying that won't raise that, and I understand that. But we make it sound like if we can change these fees, that it'll completely change the picture of how quick we're going to get people to do these inspections and all these things. And I think that's kind of probably not 100% true from what I'm gathering and seeing. So, and correct me if I'm wrong. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right, the sponsor's ready to go. Anybody else for their first time? First time before the sponsors, second time. Anybody for their first time? Anybody for their second time before the sponsor? Second time before the sponsor. Clearly, nobody knows how they're voting on it.
I was so appreciative.
Clearly, nobody knows how they're voting. So, Representative Hallinan, second time. Representative Larson, Representative Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also got some information from our county treasurer that they pay about $20,000 for the inspections in our county. So the state pays $9,000 and the county pays $20,000. So I think it's appropriate that the state would have an increase in their charge to pay this $9,000. But this county pays $20,000. And I believe that increase is probably around the inflationary increase that the state has experienced. And I believe the tax or the fee should go up at the rate of inflation. Otherwise, we're just increasing the money that's available to the state for whatever purpose they want to use it, not for the purpose of inspections. So with that in mind, Mr. Speaker, I would be in favor of this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Larson and then Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just in discovering a little more information on the question on reduction of positions, there were two positions in the agency, in the state agency reduced, one in the town where the bringer of this particular question resides, and another to the east of the, I think there's wildcats that live there, or bearcats, maybe that's what they are, in that municipality is where those two positions were. Again, would encourage a no vote on this amendment.
Thank you, Representative Gray, second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Wanted to push back on a comment earlier that was made. I think it's very important to talk about the distributions on these fees. And with the divided amendment yesterday, the portion that passed, I wanted to clarify that this is not going to the general fund for the most part. It's not going to the schools deficit. 85% with the deletion yesterday in counties that have a health department, which most of our populated counties do, which 85% is going to go to the counties. So once again, the counties are the big winner. I just looked up Natrona's fees schedule. On top of the state fee, they have a per inspection fee. So they're already covering their costs. So, I mean, I would have been a no anyway. I would have been an aye on the amendment anyway to reduce this, to bring it back to the original. But after the divided amendment changed the distribution so that it goes to the counties, it's not doing anything for the general fund besides 15% in counties that have a health department, and it's definitely not doing anything for schools. And general fund's already balanced, so we're going to get a balanced budget in terms of the general fund, and it's really the schools deficit that we gotta address, or transfer a portion of the general fund surplus, if we can yield one, to LDCA and backfill the schools deficit. So it doesn't really advance the ball at all on general fund or schools or anything at the state level. It's really for the counties for the most part, because most of the licenses are in those counties with the health department. Not all of them, but most are. And so I'd urge an aye on the amendment and a no on the bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Representative Walters, for your second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To address the concern, part of it's been addressed. The amendment yesterday did take that and shift the funds, the increase in funds from the general fund back to the agency or the locals in the case of counties and municipalities with a local inspection service, you might say. But to address the concern of surplusing in the general fund, if we do things like this, we can create that surplus in the general fund. If we ignore these sorts of...
Mr. Speaker?
Someone called a point of order. I don't know where it is. So, okay, Representative Jennings, sorry.
Are we on the first or the second?
We are on second time.
Did the speaker speak on the first time?
I have him on my list. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I may have missed someone else, but I do have this person on my list. Thank you. Please proceed, Representative Walters.
Thank you. And so it's small increases, small changes like this that allow for the surplusing or the balancing of the general fund budget. And then the other thing is, as to indexing towards inflation, because we haven't changed this in 20 years, because it's not being changed to automatically index with inflation, we can be a little above what the inflation rate might be today. And in 20 years from now, when it's again looked at, we will be below again. And so this allows us to have a sweet spot in the rate over time. And so I would encourage a no vote on this amendment. And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Anyone else for their second time? Take us to lunch, Representative Andrew.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to address a few points. I think that we need to think about the smallest entrepreneurs in Wyoming at this time when this industry has been particularly and disproportionately harmed. I think that it's reasonable to adjust the fee to the rate of inflation at this time, but I don't think it's reasonable to add an extra fee on top of that, and that is what this amendment does. I also want to push back on the notion that it's reasonable to ask these small businesses to increase their prices to cover the extra fee. Food is an elastic demand product, and small increase in prices can have large effects on demands, which could hurt the businesses even further. I also want to add that we are a sales tax generating industry, and this is not the only source of revenue that the state receives from these businesses. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I urge an aye vote.
Thank you very much, Representative Andrew. Members, we're voting on third reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 49. All those in favor, please raise your hand to your screen. All those in favor of the amendment, please raise your hand to your screen. The amendment has failed. Chief Clerk, would you please, actually, the chair is uncertain. The chair is uncertain as he scrolls the screen and there's a mix. So Chief Clerk, would you please call the roll on the amendment?
Andrew.
Aye.
Baker.
Aye.
Banks.
No.
Bear.
Aye.
Blackburn.
Aye.
Brown.
No.
Burkhart.
No.
Burt.
Aye.
Clausen.
No.
Clifford.
No.
Connolly.
No.
Crago.
No.
Duncan. Duncan.
No.
Eklund.
No.
Air.
No.
Flitner.
Aye.
Fortner.
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Greer.
No.
Hallinan.
Aye.
Haroldson.
Aye.
Harshman.
No.
Heiner.
Aye.
Henderson.
No.
Hunt.
Aye.
Jennings.
Aye.
Kenner.
No.
Knapp.
Aye.
Larson Lloyd.
No.
Larson Dan.
Aye.
McGuire.
No.
Martinez.
Aye.
Nyman.
Aye.
Newsom.
No.
Nicholas.
No.
Oakley.
No.
Obermuller.
No.
O'Hearn.
No.
Olson.
No.
Ottman.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Paxton.
No.
Provenza.
No.
Roscoe.
No.
Schwartz.
No.
Sherwood.
No.
Simpson,
No.
Summers,
Aye.
Stiff,
No.
Stivar,
Aye.
Sweeney,
No.
Walters,
No.
Washit,
Aye.
Western, Western, Worf,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Wilson, Wilson, Winter,
Aye.
Yin,
No.
Zawanitzer.
Aye.
Mr. Speaker,
Aye.
closing vote. Are there any changes? Closing vote. The vote is closed. 27 aye, 33 no.
The amendment has not been adopted. House Bill 49 having been
No,
read.
there's another amendment, sir.
Okay, members, we're going to recess for lunch at this point, and I'll be. Is that in order, Chief Clerk? It is. We're between motions.
Yes.
Chief Clerk, is that in order to recess for lunch at this point? Should be, because we're between motions. So,
yes, sir.
Mr. Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House stand in recess until 2 p.m.
So members, I just want to quickly tell you that many of our staff are getting their immunizations today, and their appointments begin, well, they've already begun. So we're trying to get our staff so they can get to the health office in their appointment time. So we will take up the remaining amendments to House Bill 49 when we return. You've heard the motion to recess until 2 o'clock. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed? The House stands in recess until 2 p.m. Thank you.